6:02. We will start the regular EDC meeting for the March 26, 2024. Roll call. Tyson is not here. Everybody else is here. Item 2, work session reports. Number 1, Chamber of Commerce construction.
Last week, we started the remodel of the chamber building. If you haven't had a chance to go by there, take a look at it. It is looking better. They power washed it today, so it got a bath, so that helped out tremendously. As of currently, they're looking to start painting either Thursday or next week, correct? I think it was most likely next week, but that's where we're at.
All right. Item 2, point of sale.
Question. What bid did we end up going with on that construction? Because I didn't know we had approved on any bids on that.
It was the lowest bid.
The lowest bid?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is he gonna give us a more detailed itemized thing than this one?
Yes, I think we asked for that. So yeah, we'll have a detailed list exactly.
Okay.
All right. Item 2, point of sale contractor presentation. Come on up, sir.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wes Renard with Talus Pay. We are a merchant service provider headquartered in Dallas. I own the Fort Worth office myself, and Councilman Griffith asked me to be here this evening to give a brief overview of, and I don't mean to insult anyone's intelligence, I know we're all educated men here, but give a brief overview of what merchant services is, how it can benefit any business in the Canada area, and how by implementing merchant service activities, we can help grow the economics of the greater Canada area. So I'll be brief, but let's get into it. So today we're going to go over what are merchant services, what's in it for me as a business owner, why use merchant services, why use a local merchant service provider, and then I'll answer any questions y'all have about the presentation, the industry, etc. All right, so let's go ahead and get into what are merchant services. So the easiest way to describe it for me, I didn't know what it was before I got into this industry, to be honest with you. I had no idea what it was, but I've learned a lot in the time that I've been in. So basically, anytime the money needs to change hands between a customer and a business, someone has to carry that transaction from the customer's bank account to the business owner's bank account. So in the graphic I have depicted here, you have a customer who wants to give money to a merchant, right? But and they want to, if they're doing like a credit card payment or something like that, they're going to use one of 4 carriers. As you all know, we all have them on our credit, debit cards, et cetera. American Express, Visa, MasterCard, Discover. So anytime a business wants to do business, a customer wants to do business with the business owner and they want to use a credit card to do it, they're going to have to use one of those 4 carriers. Well, the way that our system is set up, a merchant can't interact directly with the card brands. So they have to have a third party to execute the transaction, moving the funds from the customer's bank account to the merchant's bank account. And so that third party is what we call a payment processor. They're the person that carries the funds from the merchant's bank account to the business owner's bank account and making sure that it is conducted in an ethical, safe manner, encrypted, et cetera, from point A to point B. That's what merchant services is. So what is a credit card processor responsible for? They're responsible for basically making sure that merchants have the hardware, software tools that they need to take payment, everything from a physical card swipe terminal to online resources and so forth, helping control the cost of payment acceptance for that merchant, advising the merchant on best practices, enabling merchants to grow their business, and providing them with compliance with payment card industry data security standards. I realize it's a long acronym, but basically it's the laws and rules that govern how credit cards can be accepted across the nation to make sure businesses are in compliance with those policies. So, but the flip side to that relationship is a merchant is responsible for making sure their customer has a safe, convenient way to make payments. If they want to get paid, obviously it needs to be convenient for the customer, right? protecting vital cardholder data at the point of sale, remaining compliant with payment card industry data security standards, like I alluded to in the previous slide, and then keeping their business compliant with the laws and policies that govern the payments industry. And I realize points 3 and 4 may seem similar, but they actually are different. There's federal laws that govern how credit cards can be taken. But then, for example, if a business wants to receive Visa, they also have to subscribe to Visa's policies. So the merchant is responsible for making sure they're in compliance both with federal laws as well as the card carrier's actual policies. So that's kind of the summary of what the credit card industry, what merchant services is. So what's in it for me? Why use merchant services as a business? Because there are a number of businesses, especially in small towns, that advocate, oh, I don't need credit cards, I never use credit cards aren't of value to me. And that may be the case, but I would argue that there's a good case for it. So let's get into it. According to Capital One Shopping, one of the biggest banks in the world, cash is only used in 12% of in-store transactions, which means 81% of shoppers would rather pay with a card than cash. About 70% of American adults have a credit card in their name. But here's the thing, if we're trying to develop business in Kennedale, the average shopper that's shopping with plastic is up to 3 times more likely. They're likely to spend up to 3 times more money than they would spend if they were just paying cash. So if I'm a business and I know I have the opportunity to increase my revenue by 3x with every transaction, sign me up, right? Why would I not do that? So businesses that want to add that tool to their business need to be taking cards. And consumers are 40% more likely to use cards than cash in any given transaction. The other thing we need to think about in 2024 is we got to be able, as business owners, to appeal to younger generations. Gen Z and millennials, they comprise a third of the population, but 69% of Gen Z customers use a debit card once a week, and 36% of millennials use a credit card every day. So as a business is trying to grow its business and it's not taking cards, it's missing out on 30% of our population. And I mean, Gen Z, they're not really the major purchasers in the industry right now, but give it 5 years, right? I mean, that's the generation that's about to graduate high school. So it's going to matter. And also, we all know that with the advent of COVID, contactless payment options became more of a thing, but we never moved away from it. So now if businesses don't have the ability to do contactless payment, things like Apple Pay, Google Pay, tap cards, they're missing out on a corner of the market that they really could be benefiting from by using a provider that gives them that. So let me say another reason why you should accept cards in your business. A lot of us think about merchant services, credit card processing. We only think about a physical swipe terminal, but credit card processing and merchant services is so much more than that. It's things like being able to take invoices. Say, for example, that a landscaper quotes a beautiful, expensive job for a house. But and they want to be able to invoice for that, but they don't want us to be sending paper invoices through the mail all the time. Well, a good merchant service provider can equip them with the ability to send an invoice that can be paid by with a text to pay link, a link sent via email. It opens up the avenues for businesses to get paid more efficiently in a secure manner. And also, again, talk about the generational thing. As business owners, we need to meet our customers where they're at, right? Younger generations, they don't want to write you a check for $20,000. They'd rather have you receive an invoice in their email and fill it out. Another cool thing that merchant services can do beyond just swipe technology is scheduled payments. This is a dated example, but say someone is starting up a magazine and they don't want to send an invoice on the 15th of the month every month for their subscribers. What if they had recurring payments? Or back to the lawn service guy. Say that he has, a lawn service company has a lawn that they mow twice a month, every month, and instead of sending an invoice on the 30th of the month over the mail, what if they could sign up their customers to hit that card for their monthly fee at regular intervals every month? With an open-ended subscription, they can cancel it at any time that the customer cancels service. That's also merchant services. Another thing we don't think about is e-commerce. How many businesses in Kennedale are on the internet? How many businesses that are not on the internet should be? All right. Just because we are as small business owners, we are competing against Amazon, we are competing against Walmart, but that does it. But if we're not taking a piece of that online market, we're missing out. Merchant services can equip a good merchant service company like Talis Pay can equip businesses in the area to add e-commerce to their website, add it to part of their portfolio, and enhance their ability to take payments. And the other thing that I think credit card acceptance adds to a business is what we call vertical specific solutions. My favorite one that I'm a big fan of that we offer is called Practice Management Bridge. This is just one example, but this is exclusive to the medical field. It enables any medical entity to tie their existing patient management software to how they get paid, so that instead of adding another software to take credit card payments or send text and email invoices, do contactless payments, set up payment plans, they can tie it into existing software. And that's just one example. Vertical specific solutions exist in the automotive industry. They exist in the trades. So there's a lot of good resources out there that if businesses in Kennedale aren't leveraging them, they really should be. Another reason to consider as we promote business in Kennedale is why we should consider promoting business in Kennedale with credit cards is, what if your point of sale, your terminal, could do more than just taking payments? What if it could also be your time clock, set up your team schedule, your shift schedules, take online orders, integrate a gift card program, or even do your quarterly tax management for you? A good point of sale provider can set you up with that technology, having it all in one place, so you're not, as a business owner, we all know business owners are stretched thin. So what if you had it all in one place, so you're not leveraging six different technologies manually at the end of the month? It's all tied into one spot. This is what a good point of sale can do for any business owner. And then that kind of leads me to the next point, which is why use a local merchant service provider? A friend of mine told me about a study he read. There are 1,500 merchant service providers in the United States, right? 1,500. Why use a local one instead of a national one? Well, I can think of several good reasons. First of all, a good local merchant service provider can help a business owner in the area avoid common pitfalls. Small and medium businesses comprise about 83% of all credit card data breaches. We hear about the big breaches that make the Wall Street Journal, like Wendy's getting compromised about 6 months ago, but we don't hear about the 83% of the market that is small and medium businesses. And they get compromised by things like bad practices that a lot of businesses either don't know better or do because they think they'll never get caught. But things like, keeping a card holder's information on a 3x5 note card that you get out of your drawer every month and punch into your terminal, or running your terminal on free public Wi-Fi. It's actually extremely dangerous and extremely illegal, and it can carry a violation up to $60,000 per instance. But if a business is working with a merchant service provider that hasn't taken the time to educate them, they could be opening themselves up to risk and they don't even know it. And then finally, having a working relationship with a local rep can help a business avoid these mistakes. So they get better customer service experience by having a local rep. With a local company, you get a US-based call center. If someone calls my company, they're going to get someone who offices out of Dallas. They're not going to get someone that may be hard to understand, for example. Another important thing to do is to look up Google reviews and Better Business Bureau reviews. I'm proud to say that we rank 4.3 out of 5 stars on Google and 4.77 out of 5 on Better Business Bureau. That's the advantage of having a local representation in this industry, as well as being able to navigate policy changes or setbacks. A key one that stands out to me is, so every April and every October, the credit card industry kind of gets flipped around, because every April and every October, the card brands revise all of their policies. In April of 2023, Visa made a policy change that forced my company to completely adapt the way that we were doing business. And we adjusted that to all of our customers. But a lot of major competitors of mine didn't make those adjustments. So now if those merchants get caught not abiding by the policy, they open themselves up to a $15,000 fine for every violation. So working with a local provider can help businesses adjust to those policy changes that happen every April and every October. And then finally, having a local representation, someone who actually cares, is invested in the welfare of the community, the well-being of the businesses in the area, can help business owners stay on top of pricing. I actually just went through all of my accounts and I pulled a statement from each one, did an analysis. Basically, I did an assessment. If their program was good, I didn't say anything to them. If I wasn't happy with their program, I gave them a call. And that, we can do things like pricing model adjustments, such as, maybe a business owner doesn't want to absorb card fees anymore. They want to pass that on to the card holder. Well, we have a pricing model for that. And I was able to talk to my clients about that. Those who did it, we moved on. We adjusted their program. Those who didn't, we didn't. But having that local rep really benefits a business so that they're in the know of what's going on in the industry and can add that value to their business. The other thing is local providers give back. The number one reason that I joined Talis Pay is I'm a proud veteran of the United States Marine Corps. And I noticed that Talis Pay, when I was job searching, I noticed that Talis Pay is giving back every time we fund an organization called America's Homeless Veterans. Every time a merchant does business with us, we give a percentage of every credit card transaction to fund an organization that gets homeless vets off the streets. I don't know many national chain processors that are giving back like that, but when you're working with a local processor, that enables them to give back to the community because we're invested in the communities that we're in. So I realized I went through that very quickly. I have a bad habit of speaking 5 million miles a minute, and I apologize. But basically what we talked about today are what are merchant services, why should a business owner add merchant services to their business. We talked about how merchant services is more than just card swipes, and we talked about the importance of working with a reputable company. So now I'll go ahead and see if there are any questions. Sir.
What are your percentages on your card? Like if, what is your monthly charge? Like some merchant services charge a monthly fee in lieu of sales. Like if your sales are below a certain amount, they charge you a certain percentage.
Great question. The rate or the percentage really depends on the card program and depends on the structure of the business. I pride myself in doing custom tailored approaches to each business. I quoted a business yesterday that because of the kinds of cards he was receiving, he was going to fall at about 3.25%. That was the best price I could give him on average. Okay. But other businesses that I'm working with, they're on a cash discount program. They're paying less than $100 a month flat, and that's all they ever pay because they're not absorbing percentages anymore.
Okay.
So it really
now,
depends.
if they're paying that flat fee,
yes, sir.
is there also an additional fee? Like if they have sales, do you take a percentage of the sales?
In that program, no, sir, because it's called a dual pricing program where they offer the customer a cash price, card price, and the card price has the percentage built into it, so the business isn't absorbing that anymore.
Okay, and last question I have for you, is there a difference between a swipe and a key in? Like if something was to happen to that machine and had to key in the card number, and you have a swipe rate at say 1.9% or 2.2%, what is that key in rate?
So that's a great question. Any keyed transaction is inherently more risky, therefore more expensive, and that's set by Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. That's not set by the processors. But typically, on average, swipe transactions will cost anywhere between, if it's a debit card, the cost, straight cost without margins baked in, is 0.05% to 1.2% typically, whereas keyed transactions jump from 1.8 to 3.2. Really depending on the kind of card. And the reason I say kind of card, and the reason that the quote I gave yesterday was 3.2%, most of their cards were Amex business cards. Those are the most expensive cards a business can receive, therefore the cost was higher. So if you're keying in an Amex business card, you're automatically going to be at 3.2%-ish, right? However, if you're keying in a debit card, you're going to be closer to 1.2%. So the higher the risk, the higher the cost, therefore the higher the transaction. Does that answer the question?
Yeah.
What other questions are there? Thank you all so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned e-commerce a little bit.
Sir.
What would you describe it more as an Amazon where you're bringing providers to a marketplace, or is it more in line with, let's say, Shopify, where retailers can set up their own store and then have their product services listed there? Between those two, which is it closer to Shopify or is it closer to Amazon?
I compete with Shopify. I don't compete with Amazon. The best way that I can integrate e-commerce, for example, is if a business has a website that's hosted on like Bluehost or Wix or one of those host providers, and then I have gateways that can plug into the back end of the website and provide a shopping cart on the website itself. So it really allows a business to own its online presence because it's basically an online brick and mortar, if you will. So they have one of the things that Shopify does is it allows business owners to basically build their online store. I can do the same thing, just hosted somewhere else. Okay. And I can integrate with Shopify too, but they make it cost prohibitive. Let's put it that way.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Great question. What other questions?
Yeah, one more. What kind of database do you work off of? Is it all off of one database, or do you have multiple backups for, say?
I'm sorry, I don't follow your question as far as database.
Are you server-based, cloud-based? What's your backup? So if, for instance, if I'm using your service and I save cards, card numbers, transactions, things of that nature. How is that secured, and is it backed up by multiple server base, or how do you back that information up? How do you secure it?
It's a great question. It depends on, we have a number of technology suites that we offer, so it depends on the technology suite. Most of them are on a cloud. So that, well, in a secure cloud though, it's encrypted. And that does allow a business to store cardholder data in a payment card industry compliant manner. But all that data is backed up. It's not on a physical server in the business, because that would be a lot of risk. It's actually secured by our partners on their cloud software typically.
So it's only backed up through the cloud?
Typically, we may have one that's backed up on physical servers. I'd have to verify that for you, though. I don't want to say yes for sure off the top of my head.
Okay, good.
What other question? Any other questions? Go ahead.
I have one more. Based on what Daryl just asked on your backup, now, do you keep a record of the batch sales as well? Like, say, for instance, it's tax time and I lost some records for June or July. Can I go back into the cloud-based server on your site and get those batch sales?
Absolutely. Yes. All of our technologies have a lengthy transaction history with no end date and historically wise. So if you've been working with us 5 years, you can go back 5 years to your very first transaction. Thank you. Great question. What else? Any other questions? All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the invitation.
Thank you very much, sir. Item 3, Kennedale Town Center update.
Oh, need a technology guy. Again, Craig Hughes, thank you for inviting me here. As you may know, we had Katricia Green, the Simple Simons guy. He had the daiquiri domain, and then he had a little credit repair office that his wife operated, and he had a cybersecurity. Moved out in the middle of the night, actually in the middle of the day. Fortunately, we've released 2 of the 3 spaces that he occupied. We've got Valentino's New York Pizza coming in to fill the Simple Simons Pizza. I always thought Simple Simons did good business. I don't know what you guys thought, but he always seemed busy. I just think he had never run and owned and operated a restaurant, and probably didn't realize the amount of hours it took. But, he basically skipped his lease. And the daiquiri domain, that was a tougher one. I didn't have a whole lot of thought that was going to make it, but, it was empty, and so we leased it to him. But we think we've got some really good backfill tenants in there. This gentleman, he's been making pizza since he was 15. He's from New York. He's an authentic New York style pizza guy. He's owned and operated pizza restaurants, and he has one in Arlington off of over there by the mall, Matlock. And then he had one in Colleyville. His son took over the one in Matlock, and he was doing the one in Colleyville. He got tired and retired, and his wife didn't want him around, so he decided to get back in here. And so he came in within 2 days, cleaned it up. He's ready to open up and start selling pizzas again. And I'm encouraged that this guy, you can just tell he knows what he's doing. So we dodged a bullet there. I think we actually upgraded our offerings in Kennedale. The daiquiri domain, we've got a young man Patrick Ingram, he's a Kennedale resident. He's owning, or he's not owned, he's been manager of a bunch of coffee shops. And he wants to do coffee in the morning and beer and wine in the evening. And so we're gonna, take a flyer on him. And then, so that just leaves us with that one little 583 square foot, brand new two office, vacancy. So we're, I think we dodged a bullet there. We backfilled it. The good news is there's good activity right now in retail in Kennedale. So that's a nice refreshing change of pace from the pandemic years. And then we're also obviously working with Dollar General. As you all know, we decided that we were not going to renew them. The place that they're in now is tired and badly in need of renovation. So they've agreed for us to do a build-a-suit in the pad site, which we talked about last time. That's progressing very slowly, but it's progressing. And hopefully we're going to have a permit set in a couple of weeks. So we'll be applying for a permit and hopefully under construction early summer. And then, and that's building 2. So building 3, the pad site that's sort of right in the middle of the center, we've got amazing amount of activity on that one. My partners and I said, let's get the Dollar General going, let's get our loan worked through, and then hopefully, mid or late summer, we're going to start the building 3. That'll be a 12,500 foot multi-tenant with a nice sit-down restaurant and patio, which badly needed, I think, in Kennedale. We've got, it's not pre-leased, we've got pre-commitments for about 60% of the building, and we continue to get more and more inquiries. So we're very bullish about that, but we kind of thought, let's just do one at a time. Let's get the Dollar General going. Once that's going, then we'll focus on building out building 3. And then all that will do is leave us the one pad site right by Subway for that's a fast food with a drive-through or a single tenant, 2,000 foot single tenant building. We're also working with Nathan Gonzalez. We're going to upgrade our landscaping. We've got some dead plants that we need to replace. So we're going to place more focus on that. My 2 dilapidated signs we took down, or at least took one down. We're going to take the other one down, put up a nice new leasing sign up. A little ashamed that it looked as bad as it did there for a while. So we looking to replace that and just, bullish about what we're doing here.
If the Dollar General is kind of moving slow, can we run in parallel and start on pad 3 so we can get the deal?
So pad 3, actually the building permit is ready to pull. We've, we're just going after 2 loans at once. We just kind of want to put them in sequence. And we need to make sure we secure the commitments into pre-lease to actual leases. Bravo East was one of them that wanted to upsize, and he's kind of like, well, maybe he kind of got a little bit of cold feet. So without that commitment, he was 3,000 feet out of the 12,000 feet building. So we just need to shore up our leasing to make sure we're going to it with at least 50% pre-leased. So we are working on that in parallel, but we think we'll start both of them by the summer. Any other questions or?
Any other questions for Craig?
I'd say sounds like you're doing good work.
Let's-
Like it. Like to hear it. So.
Thanks, gentlemen.
All right, thank you, Craig. Item 3 on regular session, reports and announcements. Number 1, financial report for the EDC.
Good evening, everyone. I'm John. I'm the EDC treasurer, also the finance director for the city. Only one page. For the councilman on the dais, this is slightly different than what I presented to council last week. We did receive our cash flow statement in time, in publication time for these statements, so you'll actually see a higher revenue on this set and a little bit higher expenditures than you saw at council. Just running through the summary, our sales tax revenues, we're at just under 29% of total budget. Don't let the 29% bother you. We're actually ahead of pace from where we were, or where the budget is. I can predict using the past 3 years and see that as of now, we're predicted to go over budget on our sales tax revenue. So that's a good position to be in. What we see on operation expenditures and then even the overall EDC revenue, that's inflated based on budget due to land purchases and land sales. I believe I covered that last month. So our rental fees, we're ahead of pace. We're at 44%. We're at 41% through the year, so we're slightly ahead on that. I mentioned the discrepancy, or not discrepancy, but the unbudgeted event, not EDC operations. That's why we're so ahead of pace. Our fund balance is still looking pretty healthy. We're budgeted to have 463 days of fund balance at the end of the year, and we're at 546 now. So we're in really good shape. We have strong financials right now. I'll open it up to any questions at this point.
Well, I'll ask a question, John. So we had 783 days of fund balance in 2023, and now we're down to 546. Where did the 200 some odd days go?
We did buy some land, so you'll see like we're 56.3% on our operations. It was purchasing land. We purchased the 4 different sections over in Oak Crest, and then we purchased that small parcel in Eden Road that's getting cleaned up. So that's the biggest. That's the biggest driver there. Those were just unexpected when we were budgeting.
Yeah.
It's well within our fund balance. We just didn't expect to do it back when we were working on this in July.
Thank you. I just don't want you to leave with no questions.
Appreciate you not letting me down there. Thank you.
All right, no other questions? Thank you, sir.
Sir.
We have a motion to approve the financials.
I make a motion to approve the financials.
We have a second.
I will second it.
All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Item B, consent agenda, approval of the minutes from February 27th, 2024. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion, we approve the minute.
Second?
A second.
All in favor? Approved, thank you. Item C, items for individual consideration. Consider approval of MMA proposal professional services for the Town Center Park Master Plan.
Go for it. Give us an update what our discussion was during the council meeting this past council, and I'll talk about the quote.
Well, so we had the presentation last EDC. You guys saw kind of like what the Veterans Memorial Committee had come up with. We had it posted here, talked about it, and then we moved into the council meeting, kind of went over it again with council. And what we discussed in that meeting was the need for better planning practices just in general, but specifically with this project, instead of just looking at one aspect or piece of it, considering the impact it'll have on the entire park, which is something that we all discussed in the working session when we presented. And so with that, council decided to have more discussions on it, but gave us direction that moving forward with a planned master plan, to produce a master plan for the entire project, and correcting some of the issues or considering some of the impacts that that project would have. And so that's what the proposal that we received is about.
What were some of the proposed issues that you guys discussed in council?
Could you ask that again?
The issues, you mentioned something about issues with the project, or some of the issues?
Maybe it's probably a poor phrasing, not issues, but considering that we were talking about doing that work there in the center with the fountain, and then the idea of relocating the memorial and the impact that has on the rest of the park. So if you remember the kind of vision that we put up there, it showed flat work in the center, removing the fountain, relocating the memorial to the area where the butterfly garden currently is, relocating the butterfly garden to a new space to accommodate. And then in that, as we discussed with the topography readings that we've received and some of the drainage issues that we know about, those were some of the considerations or issues rather that should be addressed if we decide to move forward with the project.
So have you decided to move forward with the project, or are we looking at better numbers or a better plan?
Right, so that was one of the things we discussed, right? So when we talk about projects and planning for the city in general, if you're looking for more accurate numbers and estimates so that you can consider whether or not you want to move forward with that project, the only way to get there is with a master plan. If you don't do that, you're just kind of giving a best guess at what it will cost. When you go through a master plan, that process will get you a more accurate estimation of costs to do the things that we've talked about doing.
So what numbers are we looking at now for that?
So as Daryl had indicated, he would go into the specifics of the proposal, but it's roughly $25,000. It's in the packet. It talks about the renditions and things that we'll get from that. That investment will allow us to have a master plan that we can choose to hold on to, postpone, move forward with, strategize. But at that point, we'll have actual estimation of the total project. And then we'll actually have renditions, engineered and architect designs and things that we can look at and actually see what our money's going to get us and what the whole project will cost, or which each portion of the project will cost.
Basically, what we're looking at is starting from the base up. First, we need although we've had a committee come in and give us their opinions of what the park and the memorial needs to be, as the EDC stated last month and from our council as a whole, we believe starting with a master plan will help us map how we move forward and what it's going to look like. We know that with the park or the plaza, how it sets, there's drainage issues, there's other issues along with the park itself, putting the memorial off to the side. So we believe if we start there, we can have a foundation that we know we can build from. And that's where MMA comes in, that's telling us, hey, for the $24,000, we'll get you to the point where you know where the park is, what it can withstand, and what it can look like. And that's the visual that we want to make sure we all are recognize and want. And then if we want to move forward from there, as MMA stated last month, to get the park to that standard, it's roughly $195,000, which that would be our next move past the master plan itself.
So the 24,000 is just for a plan to?
That's the master plan. That's correct.
Which just to caveat off of that, again, back to project planning, Like that is an investment because you don't move forward with a project without having some sort of engineered architect designed plan.
And that.
So the the cost is there, but it's an investment to the overall project. It's a lot of that are things that you would already need to do to execute that project.
Will that also include the engineering plans for the drainage and any future, and the future development of the park? So we do not have to go back and redo it again?
So anything that we discuss in that, anything that we ask them to produce will be included in there, whether that's the drainage, the memorial. The only, as Daryl indicated, that 190 that we had talked about was the best guess without having this plan and did not include the memorial itself. So you'll still get the rendition, you'll still get the drawings, you'll still get all the designs and everything, but the cost for the memorial itself is something we'll have to discuss separately.
That's correct.
Is there any idea of how we could set up like stages of it? So maybe when we get done, there's like a certain amount we want to do or we can afford to do at that time and have like a staged plan?
That's the reason why we're starting with the master plan. We're looking at the master plan as being our foundation. Where can we go from here? Because if we don't know what we can do, the rest doesn't even matter. If the soil's not right or whatever the case may be, we have to know what we're working with, and that's what we're asking MMA to come out and say, hey, this is how we can move forward with the park, whatever that may be. If it's drainage or we don't want to do anything, that option's on the table for us to look at.
So, and with that, I think your question was also about a phased approach on the execution side, and that is something that we did discuss as a committee, and we originally kind of broke it up into 3 phases. Again, with that best guess on that 190, that was including phase 1 and phase 2, which is essentially, I don't know if you've seen this yet already or not, but basically getting everything done and minus the memorial itself or prepping the site for the memorial. But yeah, and that's another benefit to investing in a master plan is that you can always shelve it, but you have it now and it's done, and it can help you strategize on fundraising or budgeting or whatever the next steps are to get to the execution phase.
Have there been other bids? Because, I wasn't real comfortable with this guy last time because he had too many unanswered questions last time. And then he goes from 190 to mentioning a $2.4 million memorial he built in Arlington. So I'm like,
Well, just to reiterate on that, right? So we're asking professionals that are subject matter experts to come in and conceptualize something in their minds without having them do any of the actual work. So when they came in last time, that was to support the committee in performing the job or the task that was given to us by the council. So really putting them on the spot there to give us numbers on things that they've not even done soil sampling or any kind of other.
that was my point. He didn't do any of that, but he had numbers in his head. That was my point.
Well, no, we kind of pushed for that. He expressly said that that's not typically something that you would do, is just kind of give you a best guess on something that's not been, we would have to solicit for those services. We didn't do that. We had them come in specifically just to help the committee conceptualize and put a vision together, which is what was produced. If you want the numbers on that, that's why I said the investment on a plan, that's when you'll start doing the work. You'll start getting soil samples. You'll have the engineers come in and look at the space and start doing the work. And at which point, when you've developed the plan and you have the drawings and the designs and the professionals doing the work, you can actually identify the actual costs. Otherwise, you're just best guessing it.
Also, one thing maybe to consider, when we started the project back in July and budgeting for this, I had 3 contractors come out to give us a bid of just dealing with the fountain itself. This has grown beyond that, which also helps with the park itself. So one of the things that that's been recognized for many years is our drainage of the park. So in order to come in and just fix the fountain is not really the answer to it without having to come in and actually do a soil study, do the other things that factor into it. And I think that's where the council members coming in is indicating it's kind of grown from there. And that's the reason why I go back of looking at the foundation of the park itself. Let's not go in and fix one little thing. Let's fix the whole park. And once we do that, that's what this plan is for. We're somewhat going back to where we were July of last year to say, hey, let's go in with a master plan. Let's kind of start over. Let's do it right the first time, besides going back and trying to fix something that may not necessarily be where it needs to be for the future, not only for today, but 20 years from now. And so we're somewhat taking a step back and let's say, let's do it right.
I understand all that, but I'm just saying we only had this one company we're dealing with.
And we can get others. This was someone that is recommended and has got a good pedigree to go with this work. Obviously, Arlington, the city of Arlington uses this company as well, and we have some credit for that as well. So that's one of the reasons why MMA has been helping us out. And they have come in and helped out tremendously without even giving us a charge. So we're grateful for their help. And that's where you're getting some of this from the committee. MMA has come out and provided this information at no charge. That's the reason why you're getting some of the information. And then when we really started getting serious about it, they're saying, well, if we're going beyond, just talking, hey, there's going to be a fee to it. And that's where now we have a proposal from MMA saying, hey, we can come in and we'll be a part of this. We'd love to help you out, but it's going to cost. And that's where we're at.
Daryl, you had mentioned that when you all first addressed the fountain at the center of the park, that you went through a bid process. Do you remember what the range was on that bid for just the fountain?
It went from anywhere from $49,000 to $85,000 to $150,000. It was a very large range.
So just confirm that it's just $17,000 lump sum to get the master plan. Do we feel, sorry, Brian, how confident do we feel with that? Or do you think they're going to come back and say, well, we need another 17,000? I know that says if we change the site plan, the number will change. We're not going to get this for free. We know that.
Right, it's contracted services. If you read the whole thing, it goes through in depth, like what that entails.
Yeah, I read it. You're in this industry more than I am. Does this number feel right to cover what we're asking them for? Or is this a foot in the door kind of?
No, this is, you're going to get exactly what you need to be able to say, we have a complete, full-scale, fully developed, completely rendered project. And all we have to do after that is, we already know the costs. All we have to do after that is maybe a bid process for contractors to actually do the work.
That's correct.
Which is something they can also support us with. They have a great wealth of relationships in the industry for people who can come and actually do the work. But yes, for this, you're going to get a quality product that Kennedale's probably not used to.
And then, because we are changing the Parks Board is on board with this?
We have not went into discussion this in depth as far as dealing with the master plan, but yes, they are aware of what we're wanting to do with the park itself, particularly dealing with the butterfly garden. That's been a very high topic with it, but yes, they are aware of what we're wanting to move forward with.
And again, just for the memorial piece, I know that was something that was mentioned as well. It's as far as the committee's concerned, the consensus is build it or don't build it, but what we currently have has to be fixed, meaning it needs to go away. It's just not appropriate. So, and with that, when you go into the bigger dollar amounts to build a memorial, because they can be very expensive, we've talked about establishing a 501 and community partners that can seek grant money, that can do our own fundraisers as part of the work that we do to generate some excitement around it and to get people involved and raise funds for that portion to drive down the cost to EDC or the city.
And at this point, the way I look at it, this is a EDC park. They own the park, or Town Center Plaza. It's not a park. But EDC owns the plaza. I look that EDC needs to fund the entire project in that manner.
So you need a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the MMA proposal for professional services for the Town Center Park Master Plan.
I will second it.
All in favor? Unanimous. Well, you're going to abstain. All right, we have, still passes, we have one abstaining. We have 3, 4, 5 voting. Yeah, he did. One abstaining. All right, thank you. All right. Is there anything before executive session? We cover it. Okay. It is 6:53. We'll enter into executive session at this time pursuant to 551.071, consultation with the city attorney pertaining to any matter in which the duty of the city attorney under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct may conflict with the Open Meeting Act, including discussion of any items posted on the general legal items regarding the Open Meetings Act. Item 1, Town Center contract. B, pursuant to 551.072, deliberation regarding the purchase, exchange, lease of value or real property. And C, pursuant to 551.087, deliberation regarding commercial or financial information that the governmental body has received from a business prospect that the governmental body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the governmental body, and with the governmental body is conducting economic development negotiations or delivered the offer of financial or other incentives to a business prospect described by subdivision. And we will close and go into to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All approved? Thank you.